For those of you listening on Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, and the rest, the On the Ranch boys have joined us after some pretty glaring technical difficulties, but we are back and ready to go. Lads, how are we?
Sensational, mate. Kicking strong.
That's the way.
Let's just do some quick introductions. So we've got Rob. We want to stick your hand up, Rob. Rob's a little bit off camera for me, but hopefully everybody else can see him. We've got Morgan and Bill. Did Pete show up, guys?
Yeah,
Pistol made it.
Oh, yeah, there's Pete. Pete's referred to as an enigma, so I expect most of the best banter to come from Pete.
I thought I might have heard loose unit / loose cannon at one point as well.
We can't launch a rocket up here either, so tech support's a bit difficult up in the northern sticks.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys. So as I was explaining to Rudy, my plan here is basically to give you guys some time to tell West Tigers fans a little bit about what's happening at the Cowboys this year, because obviously, our focus is so much on our club. We don't really know what's going on. I know that, you guys have an ex-Tiger and Todd Payton there as the coach. There's so much history between the two clubs. I thought it'd be a pretty cool collaboration. And then, obviously, as we discussed, we'll send you over the audio file for your own audience too. So if you have any questions for us about, what's happening at the Tigers, any of our young players, how we're feeling about the situation. Does that sound good to you guys?
It does, yeah.
Awesome. Jared, over to you.
Beautiful. Well, lads, obviously a very, very Cowboys-focused podcast, as you can tell with the name and the like. How long have you lads been doing it? And is it a very Cowboys-centric potty, or do you sort of talk about a bit of everything, bit of NRL and other sports, or what do you do?
We started around 2019, I want to say, somewhere around there. And it was a general Queensland podcast, Cowboys focused to begin with, but Pete and I are sort of fans of just about every sport imaginable except wrestling. Well, he is. He likes wrestling, but I don't.
I'm a pretty big fan of wrestling myself.
Yeah, I won't hold it against you.
What did you think of the Cena heel turn?
Yeah, not very good, to be honest, actually.
Right.
He's back.
Yeah, anyway, so then it's sort of evolved from there. So we've just gone from recording in his lounge room or his theatre room with one microphone to the mess of cables and rubbish you can see on the table now, and full setup. So now there's four of us. We got Billy, who's just outside smashing a dart. I think.
Coaching his lungs is the scientific term.
We hope it's a dart at least.
Yeah, and he does the video now for us, or basically sorts that out for us, and we're just the talent, if you can call us that. But yeah, we mostly focus on the Cowboys now, just a review type thing, and then we just do a few things on the side, just talk crap really. But
we got some segments.
There's a few different segments there. Yeah.
And segments are key ultimately to the evolution and growth of the podcast. Obviously, therefore, we may as well stick to your bread and butter and the Cows. And I feel like our two teams are inherently tied to one another. Obviously, the 05 Grand Final, sorry to bring it up, but also your head coach is a former player of ours. We've played some absolutely fucking crazy games amongst each other in regular season matches these past few years. So,
Farah getting stuck in Anthony Watson's scrum. That's one of my favourites.
Like, you guys beating a 74 blot, like the game at Leichhardt last year with the Justin Olam sent off, the game where we beat you by 60 in 2023. Like, there are so many crazy games.
Soft whistle.
So, yeah.
Felty.
You're not Felty fans, I'm sure of that.
No.
But,
No. But that's
one of the questions that somebody asked on our X account, because I put up an X, like, what questions do you want to ask the boys? One of them was, how much of a C-bomb do they think Kyle Felt is? So, yeah,
how much do we think?
A champion.
Yeah, he's a champion.
Yeah, that's what they wanted me to ask.
He'd be very well loved up in Townsville. But boys, obviously, you guys have, from sort of 22 onwards, you just sort of gone in and out of the finals. This year, it kind of feels like the writing's on the wall from our perspective a little bit with Toddy Payton. Where's your head at?
We're up in the air. I don't think any of us have committed to anything, as in nothing solid in our minds as to what's going to happen. We have a few theories because we've had a few
Arrivals.
arrivals at the airport,
airport.
that have been spotted. So we've thought, maybe could happen, that could happen. It's been a tough year for Toddy. It's we've lost a lot of talent last year, a lot of experience. Val Holmes, Chad Townsend, however you rate Chad, he was experienced.
Absolutely.
And Felty, of course, and you're talking 200 gamers and sort of that ilk.
Jake Granville,
of course, yeah. So it's just an amazing amount of talent and amazing amount of experience there, just completely gone. So it's a very young team in sort of in that way. Then you look at our string of injuries this year. It's not quite Rabbitohs level, but it's not far behind it.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of halfback changes at the start of the year, which didn't quite work, and the combos have been nearly every week has been a combo change somewhere in the backs, forwards. Taumalolo was missing for how many games there, and now we're missing Cohen Hess.
Yeah.
So that sort of any kind of shake up like that messes any team up, as you guys know as well as we do.
yes.
So it's a tough year, and I would hope that the board he hasn't got the full backing of the board yet, but Toddy Payton, he's I think they're going to stick with him. Personally, I think they'll stick with him for one more year at least. I mean, that's his standard contract anyway, and then we'll see what happens after that. Maybe one of the airport arrival coaches will take over from there.
Who are you talking about? who was spotted at the airport?
I don't want to give too much away.
Oh, is it a bit? Did you get some inside tips from the sushi chef at the airport or something?
Not quite that. We've got a couple of insiders who sort of feed us information from time to time. So
okay,
I don't
fair
know whether
enough.
or not, like if we actually name names, whether or not that gives it away. But he was an assistant coach at the Sharks and
Favourite son.
and Queensland and ex-Cowboy and Queensland State of Origin assistant coach.
Pretty
as
good
well.
kicker too.
Very good kicker.
Yeah, right.
And a 2005 grand final try scorer.
Yes. So that's a name that's been spotted at the airport and floated around and could be taking over. But, I don't think anything's going to happen till the end of the year. We won't know what's going on. So
Fair enough. Boys, looking at the squad, I think that what the Cowboys have done well for the last couple of years is really build their depth through the roster. A lot of guys that are genuine first graders that can do a job. Now, obviously, he's mentioned injuries, and there was a lot of experience that came out of the door, sort of went out the door last year. But it's something that I think, you guys can really pride yourselves on. And then on top of that, obviously, the junior base of FNQ that you guys tap into quite obviously because you run it. I guess sort of looking at the squad, there's a lot of talent already locked in for 26. We don't know sort of too much about the Cowboys. Where's your cap at? Where do you identify the weaknesses in the squad, and what do you think you guys need moving forward?
Well, we haven't really gone out to the market for recruitment either, other than Reid Marnie, because Robbo's obviously leaving. There's a lot of, as you just mentioned, a lot of talent up here that they're not trialled. Like Tom Duffy's leaving us at the end of the year, and people go, how do you get, there's no halves on the open market available. Well, how do you become a half without having experience, So unfortunately, you can only fit 17 onto the field at one time. And there is a lot of base up here. Like we're a region club, not just a one-town club. So similar to you guys, like you're a West, you're not just Balmain or all western suburbs. So you've got a bit of region there as well, unlike someone like the Roosters who are proverbial buyers of players and talent. It's going to be interesting times. Like we've unlocked Jackson Purdue this year. He's actually a half playing centre. So I wouldn't have mind seeing him actually drift back to fullback and put Drinky in at 6 for those periods of throughout the year. But hindsight's a great thing. It's going to be exciting times. And, we haven't lived up to the expectation this year. But as Rob touched on before, there's been so much soft tissue damage, injuries in this team. I can't remember the last time we played the same 17 in a row for the whole season, for that matter. So when you have that incontinuity, it's always going to be a hard ask. And so everyone just looks at the coach, sack Payton because he's not getting the results. Well, when you can't field the same 17 more than twice in a row for the whole year, it's not going to be the greatest. But moving forward, there's people coming through, but again, they're also they're also kids. You know, you look at your instance with Lockie Galvin. You know, he's the big prodigy and the next big thing. He's 19, and obviously, you know, he left you guys for something else. But what happened to having the bloke in Q Cup or New South Wales Cup that is now 24, 25-year-old that has plied his trade? No one wants to do that. They just want to get the latest sensation in, and well, you didn't survive, so you're out. Look at Lockie Ilias from Souths and Dragons now. Like, how has he not gotten a start is beyond me, but it's always up in the air.
Yeah, it certainly makes you wonder. Obviously, as you say, there's some guys sort of coming through and sort of poking their heads through. Obviously, Jackson's the latest breakout star out of your system, but give us some names that you guys are pretty high on, you know, sort of getting around for the Blackhawks or the Northern Pride. I really like what Marley Bitagane's doing as a young middle in Q Cup. Nicholas Lanaz is another one. I've always liked the look of Jamal Shibasaki. I'm not sure what his contract status is for next year, but who are you guys really bullish on?
He's played a handful this year. He's got a bit of no nonsense. I'd like to see Tom McHaley get more of a run. He's a bit more of a journeyman stalwart, but he's been biding his time. And, you know, we're going to lose Jordan McLean at the end of this year, so there's a spot opening up in the front row for that. And, you know, Griffin Neems seemed to find a lot of good form towards the back end of this season until he's done his shoulder the other week. So hopefully with the return of him, and then, yeah, like you touched on Nicholas Benez, he's going to be something as well. He, from a bartender pouring beers to you're playing first grade against who did we play the other week when he debuted?
It was Para, wasn't it?
Fields, yeah, Para.
Fields.
Yeah, so there's those sort of guys coming through, but, you know, until you get that, you need to have that benchmark. You can't just make a cake out of icing, and unfortunately, we haven't had the cake base this year to provide. You know, we're a massive different team when Tamalolo plays, no matter what people say about him. And watching his minutes the other day, and also the other week coming back against the Eels, he's a big difference to the club, and so he can carry those younger players through. At the moment, it's those younger players trying to do it on their own. So,
or we'll get like a youngster in like Derby, and then he'll do his knee or something. So he plays a handful of games, and then his whole development sort of gets stalled a bit as well.
Yeah, which really stings amongst young players for sure.
Do you guys struggle with young players when they get brought through having their eye on the big smoke? Like, is that a thing that happens a fair bit? Like, young guys sort of get developed and then they want to move to the city, move to Brisbane, move to Sydney, or is that not such a thing? It seems from our perspective to be a thing that seems to happen a little bit.
Now we've got Madca up here, so
yeah, we got the map.
I don't think I want to head down to Sydney, do I?
No.
Well, I'm actually in Brisbane, so I'm actually a Queenslander myself. So it's
What's wrong with that?
I'm not all the way in the big smoke.
It's probably 50-50. There's a lot of players who want to stay here and make a career out of being a Cowboy. Tom Dearden, obviously, Jackson Purdue, they're all locals. Jake Clifford's from just down the road. So
Felty was.
Felty, of course, is a local. So a lot of juniors, I think they want to stay because they've grown up supporting the Cowboys. We've sort of got enough of a heritage now where, we're in our 30th year. So the kids coming through now have actually been watching the Cowboys their whole life. So maybe they want to play for us.
Even players that have come to the club, like you look at Jordan McLean, like he came here on a 3-year contract and has stayed for 10.
Yeah.
Griff Neems come from over New Zealand. He's pretty much a North Queensland local. Like it's a lifestyle that this club can offer a lot of those players. Like the big smoke, like you look down in Sydney or Brisbane, as you'd both be aware that, and Toddy Pate mentioned this the other year when he was on, that we may not pay overs for players, but we're going to pay them what they're worth, and also a lifestyle. Like you can go down the beach on a Saturday morning, go and have a mate's barbecue that afternoon, go and have a drink somewhere else that night, and do it all. Whereas if you're down in Sydney or Brisbane, you're picking one of those things, and that's all you're doing because of the commute and transport and the hustle and bustle of the big smoke. And so it's more of a laid back, she'll be right attitude. And I suppose that fits the personality of the player. If they're if they like it up here and they only want to travel 15 minutes to training instead of an hour and a half.
You wait for
Then-
media a bit too. I saw
Yeah.
Mars Talung came up the other day. He was just wandering through. No one was bothering him or pestering him or anything like that.
That certainly helps. Lads, is there anything you guys want to know or your listeners might want to know about the Tigers? I mean, we don't know everything, but we'll try at least to answer your question.
How sold are you guys on Luai? Because he was obviously a big signing for you in the off season, and I've got a couple of Tiger friends, and they're like, why are we getting that waste of time for? I reckon he's a gun for you guys. And
Well, did you like him before he joined?
yeah, did you like him at Penrith before?
And all of a sudden, did you rush out and buy some Luai jerseys?
We've got differing viewpoints. Matt can go first.
I'm not sold on him. I think I like him better as a 6. I think that he's played a lot better since Adam Dewey has taken a leading hand as a 7. I don't think Lachlan Galvin is a very good 7, as we're starting to see at the Bulldogs. So it's kind of taken putting Adam Dewey in the 7 jersey to start seeing the best of Jerome Luai, which lo and behold is in the position that he played, 4 grand finals in and played for New South Wales in. Obviously, we wanted to make him Batman. He wanted to be Batman, but it doesn't seem to be the case. I think his best games of the season have been in the last few weeks, so the signs are promising. I think what a lot of people think about Jerome Luai is the value that he's brought is mostly in terms of the off-the-field stuff, the culture, the way he is around training, just driving standards. And I think he's a really good conduit between the coach and the younger players too. So he's brought a lot of good stuff. There's no questioning that he's had a positive impact on the club. But in terms of on-field results, you can't really argue with the fact that he's got barely any try assists, and we've signed him on $1.2 million. So in terms of delivering value for money, I'm not sold.
For me personally, I think that his creative output in terms of try involvements I think he's sort of been a victim of circumstance and his desire to be so team-oriented. I think that he was more than happy to play second fiddle to Galvin to appease, Lachlan at the time, and obviously what the coaching staff wanted to do and what they had built in the years previous. And as a result, he was sort of jumping around, sort of playing a lot of 7 in a role that didn't really suit him. You are finding now with Latu Fainu and Adam Dewey to, being able to be the pass before the pass guys, and then Jerome, being able to make decisions outside of the 3-man or the 4-man and play footy off the back of that he's really found his place in the side. Obviously, his leadership characteristics and, the players that he's had a massive role in bringing to the club, and the overall outlook of the club, has changed entirely. I don't think we get Terrell May. I don't think we get Tito Taruva without him, and the players that will continue to come. I think, Jerome's going to be front and centre of that. But there was one part of the question that Mac missed was about, did we like him before? I think when he first came into grade, he absolutely had a chip on his shoulder, and I think he pissed everybody off except Penrith players. But I love a bit of ego in sport. It's why I like Latrell a lot in terms of, we need heels and
he's a young fella.
And we need faces. And, for Romy, I've always liked that about him and that confidence. But also the way that he's grown and evolved as a character throughout, his time in rugby league is something that I actually really like. And I think he's really evolving into a leader and also a man. So I'm very glad he's black, gold and white.
I think that's a good point. I think Jerome's somebody who, while it may not have happened fast, has sort of changed. The Jerome Luai when he was 22 is not the same guy you see now. He's definitely a lot chiller. He's taken on a leadership role. I think there's a little bit of imposter syndrome I can still sort of pick up in some of the ways that he is. I don't think he's quite fully comfortable in that role as being a grown-ass leader of men, but he's certainly trying very hard. And for our club, it's working very well, and he hasn't really put a foot wrong from a leadership perspective. And what's most important for us is he backs the coach. He does not waver in his resolve when it comes to supporting the things that Benji Marshall says, what Benji Marshall wants. He played, as Jared said, he played a second fiddle to a bloody 19-year-old at the request of the coach. That's for a guy who supposedly has a pretty large ego. I think that says a lot about what he's willing to do for the team. You
talk about the team, how you've had, look, you don't want to rub it in, but 3 wooden spoons in a row.
That's okay.
Is this what it is?
From an outside perspective looking in, and my brother-in-law, he's a Tigers fan as well. But just having a board of directors where you've got West and Balmain, it seems like you're at each other instead of being able to get on the same page. Like, what's the fallout since when you don't have Justin Pascoe or Lee Hadjipatelis anymore? Has the vibe changed a lot more down there? And obviously results on the field speak for it. Like, compared to the last 3 years, you're having your best year in the last 10, really.
Most wins since 2019 so far, and we could potentially get more than 2018 if we're lucky.
And you're still finals.
From my perspective, yeah, well, it's been since 2011 is the last time we played the finals, would you believe? It's been 14 years, 15 years. The vibe has changed a lot. I think, like, from the outside, people don't realize Balmain don't really have all that much to do with things anymore. In terms of the administration of the company that owns the Tigers, it's pretty much West rebranded into what's called the Holman Barnes Group. There's a couple of board members that get sort of given to the Balmain side of the group. Up until last year, they were kind of a little bit of a rogue element, but they kind of got both booted off the board and replaced by guys that I think fell in line a little bit more. So there hasn't really been too much board upheaval. Like, if you listen to this podcast, I hang shit on the Tigers ownership pretty much as a sport, like, every week. Like, it's something I don't really think that the Tigers ownership group still really have the best interests of the on-field performances of the club at heart. Something that you guys might not know, the Tigers have received the lowest amount of funding from any team that's owned by leagues clubs, and that leagues club are profitable, $9 million in profit. So they're not really investing all that much into the on-field performances. But in terms of, like, the administration, putting Shane Richardson in as the CEO, and they've kind of really distanced themselves from the football operation. It's pretty much Shane Richardson gets what he wants at the moment, and that's, I think, why we're starting to see results. They're not really intervening so much. I think when Lee was around, Lee and Justin, what we see from Lee Hadjipatelis and Justin Pascoe is that they must have developed a really solid working friendship, because they're still doing business and stuff together. So I think that Lee being the chairman and Justin being the CEO kind of was what was creating this, like, influence in the football operation that was actually coming from the board that's no longer there. So I'm not a big fan of the owners, but what I do like is that they've stopped meddling.
Yeah, long story short, we replaced a divorce lawyer and a CEO from AFL with a bloke that's taken teams from the shit house to the penthouse, and a former state premier as our chairman who knows everybody at the top end of town. We've installed some independent directors that have diluted the ownership's influence, which has helped us heaps. So yeah, it feels really, really different. But they've also been extremely transparent. The club's strategy for the next 3 years is readily accessible on their website. Richardson isn't like Pascoe or Hadjipatelis in the sense of, he'll pick up every single phone call, but, you can speak to him if you choose to. And yeah, so you are really seeing a change from that.
I found his phone number and texted him, and he replied to me.
How good.
So,
what did he say?
So,
I asked him to come on the podcast, and he told me to go screw myself. But he did reply.
Text him again.
but yeah, much different.
It does look a lot different. Like, the Tigers playbook for years gone by is, righto, you've had another shit year, let's sack the coach. And I think at one stage you were paying Jason Taylor, Mick Potter, someone else. You probably had four coaches on the books. Like, just, guys, get in the one direction. And it looks like that's what's happening nowadays, which is good, because you want a healthy league. You don't just want to see Storm, Penrith and Roosters always at the top. So
100.
Absolutely.
I take it you're fully in on Benji.
Up and down all year for me. Jared's been a little bit more steadfast in his love.
Yeah, got a lot of admiration for him. I think he's a bit insane for taking on the job when he did, but nonetheless, his self-belief and his ego, to a lesser extent, I think have really helped him. I think that he's right in the sweet spot in terms of, a lot of the playing group or cohort amongst the entire league. grew up watching Benji Marshall. He was a big part of their formative years, and he did things differently, and I think that really helps. He is the only Polynesian coach in the entire league, and I think he does a lot of things well. I think that his coaching philosophies around the way that he wants to attack, obviously around culture and players, expressing themselves in the way that they want to be, and in terms of unapologetically being themselves. I think that's all brilliant. I just hope that, for the love of God, he does not sabotage himself by not recognizing his weak points and strengthening him around them. And for that, mainly, it's around his assistant coaches. I really hope that he looks into where his flaws are and he builds them up, because if he can do that, then he will be in this job a long time. He's continued to show improvement year on year, and next year should be no different, touch wood. Yeah.
Not to improve from coming last 3 times, though.
But that said, I am on the Benji train.
I think that what I see in Benji is he's a quick learner. It's pretty ridiculous that we made a guy the head coach who had essentially no coaching experience. He was supposed to do a 2-year apprenticeship under Tim Sheens, ended up getting truncated to like 6 months or something, and then suddenly he's a head coach. I think this year he has been very quick to make the adjustments that we think we've seen the need to make. He's reacting in real time very fast. He's moving players. The roster movements that are occurring are the ones that need to happen. Last year, we had a lot of issues getting out of our own end. What do? They went and signed Jarrell Skelton and Sunia Taruva. He's making the right decisions. Him and Shane Richardson, both tactically from week to week, but he's also still making plenty of mistakes. And that's sort of the problem, right? Is that if he had have done an apprenticeship as a coach, he would have seen another head coach making those mistakes and learned that way. By the time he would have come into being his own head coach, he wouldn't have been making those mistakes. So we're having to experience the fallout of that. So he's it's like the first time we've ever seen since the last time the Tigers did it, because I think we had Alan Jones as a bloody coach back in the 80s or something. But we've got an on-the-job trainer as a coach. Why don't we talk about the upcoming game? Let's get on with the match preview.
Yes, indeed. Obviously, Leichhardt was a bit of a graveyard for you blokes, but I think you guys have, beyond 2023, have won there the last few times. How do you feel about...
Last year they won, yeah.
It's always like, was it like, oh my God, Tigers at Leichhardt again? Because it seems to happen every single year. Is it something that you guys roll your eyes at now? Or is it kind of like, oh, okay, we're in with a shout here?
Look, I'll always believe our team can win no matter who we're playing, and Tigers and Leichhardt's just going to be another notch in the belt, really.
Well, now that Jonathan Thurston's no longer at the Cowboys anyway, he couldn't win at Leichhardt.
I think Pete's going 50 plus, aren't you?
Have you guys had a beer with that bloke at all?
Jonathan?
JT?
No, where's your spirit now, Thurston? Have you
seen him on Thurston guy?
I've seen him on the hill. He looks as much like Ben Eichen as he does in those photos, albeit as a methadone addict. But no, I haven't had a beer with him, no.
No, the only iconic Tigers fans that we know are the boys that were captured on the hill booing us off the field during the Tommy Raudonikis game.
Yeah. What was that 28-0 at halftime, wasn't it?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, was that a Cowboys game?
That was a Cowboys game. Yeah, it was.
There you go. There's another one. I was going to actually ask you guys, like, do the Cowboys fan base consider the Tigers to be like the Cowboys' rival team? Because, like, I know you got the Queensland rivalries, but, like, the amount of, like, ammunition that there is between the Tigers and the Cowboys, Jonathan Thurston's history, the 05, the punch on, the soft whistle, the floggings both ways. Like, there's so much ammunition. It feels to me like the biggest rivalry game that we have as a club, but it doesn't seem like the NRL media get behind it in that way. What about you guys? How do you feel about it as a rivalry?
I think the 05 grand final, since it was 20 years ago, it was a big thing for probably up until we won our grand final in 15.
Yeah.
It was probably that it was every time Cows and Tigers would play each other. There was always some sting in the game. I remember coming home going camping up north, and we came back to watch the game when Matt Barnes slotted that field goal to make it 25-24 in the last 2 seconds of the game. And ever since, like I said, that 05 grand final, it was always a rivalry game up until when we won ours 10 years ago, and it sort of has folded away off there. But
I think Broncos have taken over as our rival team.
Yeah.
I mean, the games from 2014 through to, well, even now, they're always a good game, minus a few blowouts here and there. But
Yeah.
it's always been a good match since probably about 2014. So I think that took over from the Tigers rivalry. The Tigers games they tend to be spiteful. Definitely. You can sort of.
And chaotic.
Yeah, that's right. They do feel that way, and they could go any way at any time. You don't know what's going to happen, hence that chaotic. But
it could be 60-0 on Sunday, or it could be 12-13. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah,
absolutely right. Well, how do you blokes see the Cowboys beating the Tigers on the weekend? What's the blueprint? Who do you see as a chink in our armour? How are you blokes winning this game?
Do you even think you can?
Yeah,
we got to sort some errors out before we
just pass it to Dearden.
If we can hold the ball,
give Dearden the ball every time.
Yeah, he does like playing us. He plays very well.
Yeah.
If we can hold the ball and do similar to what the Storm did to you guys early in the year at 64-0 and take Tyrrell May out of the game, and just have, like, if Tamalolo and our pack can dominate the likes of Samuel Afinu and Tyrrell May, I reckon that's going to be half your battle, because our outside backs basically rule each other out. You've got Buller on Drinky. You've got Purdue and Leichhardt both playing centre. They're coming up against you guys with Skelton and Taruva. Our halves, you've got Luai versus Dearden. You've got Dewey on Clifford. So our backs sort each other out. Appy up against Robson. Appy doesn't want to, Robbo took Appy's Blues jersey. It'll be that 8, 10, 11, 12, and with Cotter thrown in at lock, like, I think that's going to be
who also plays well against us.
Yeah, he's like a little pit bull.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and you're absolutely right. There are weeks where our forward pack just lies down and gets whacked, and it can lead to blowout scores. You referenced 64-0, and you're right. They spot setted Tyrrell May, despite the size of his motor. If he's having to make 3 or 4 tackles a set, it can really, really hurt him. It's certainly going to be an interesting one. I think the Leichhardt afternoon sun, whoever utilises it best in terms of their kicking games and putting it right in the sun, could easily force errors. There's errors in both back threes from my perspective. But also in terms of what gets brought off the bench. I see that Vilea's starting in the centres, and Zach Leichhardt will come off the pine rather. Lawton as a 14, the speed that he can give you blokes around the ruck. Latu Fainu for us playing as a 13, but also like the big boppers like McKaylee, who you guys mentioned is a guy who's really rate. Royce Hunt will come on and do his sort of pinch hit 20 minutes with his 8 hit-ups.
Jordan McLean's got a couple of games left in his career, so him and Tamalolo are going to be good.
Has he announced his retirement?
Yeah.
Oh,
obviously, Johnny
Johnny
will have a point to prove as well. I just realised. So yeah, it'll be a really interesting game. As you say, it's pretty even across the park. It's just in terms of which team turns up, kicks well, does the effort areas right. Hey,
the weather. You mentioned the Leichhardt sun. The weather can, what's the prediction? Is it sunny and or is it sunny or is it overcast?
Sunny on kickoff, mate. Yeah, it's giving way to sun.
How cold is it down there? Is it like 8 degrees at the moment, or
no? It'll by kickoff it'll be about 7-8.
Yeah, see, that's not too bad for us because we train in the heat all year long. Especially in the off season. That's why if you notice our starts to the year, even though we might get a couple of day games on a Saturday up here in Townsville, like March, April, we've had to train in it for the whole off season, and it's sappingly brutal. So when we actually play more in the cooler times, it's beneficial to us because it's like, oh, how good is this? We've got a respite from 4,000% humidity.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you guys need to skedaddle because you got to record your podcast at 6:30, and it would be good if you just stuck around for a bit because it needs to upload. So you'll see on the thing that it says 70% uploaded. If you could just leave it up while it uploads. Before we do wrap it up, though, let's do some predictions. What we like to do here is probably no different to what you guys do every week. It's just go around the room and just predict the score and predict the man of the match. Do you guys want to start?
Oh, I'll let Pistol kick this off.
Pistol
He's good at
do it.
these.
Well, every Tigers game, but especially 2023 when we dusted you 74-0, I won a bit of a packet that night on 51 plus. So
Did you really?
yeah, put some money on that.
And we've never heard about it again.
It's been the only bet win on the pod for 2 years too. But hey, a win's a win. So
And it's a fucking good bet. Let's face it.
yeah, I'm going to go Lightning to strike twice again and have Dearden first, second, or third try scorer. Cows 51 plus. Into drinky Nanai anytime.
Gutsy.
Here I was.
At Leichhardt Oval.
Here I was thinking 13 plus might be a bit disrespectful, but
51 plus.
Hey! For $10, it pays for itself.
No, that's fine. What about the rest of you?
You can't get a coffee in Leichhardt for $10.
you are absolutely right.
Anybody else over there going to make a prediction?
I'm a little more conservative. I think you're looking probably 24-22. I think it might be tight, provided the Cowboys can tidy up their error rate. That's been an issue. So if they can tidy that up, I think it'll be tight. Otherwise, I think the Tigers might actually get up in Leichhardt this year. Man of the match, I'm always going to stick by Tommy Dearden. It's hard to go past. He's got the form. So beyond that, I'm not going to predict try scorers or certainly not going to go 51 plus or anything crazy like that. I think it's going to be a lot closer if the Tigers don't get up at all.
Fair enough.
I'm actually tipping the Tigers this week. So.
You
can't say that on your podcast.
I can. I need to win a tipping comp.
Jared tipped Manly last week, so it's all good. You're in good company.
That's disgusting.
Accountability.
I'll have a crack.
I'll go. I'll go 32-14 Tigers wager in Bull man of the match.
Yeah, I think that it'll be close, to be honest. I think that it's probably, given the form lines coming into this game, given that it's at Leichhardt, I think a lot of people will be tempted to think the Tigers are going to win this game. But you guys may not know this about us, but we haven't won 3 games in a row since 2018.
Ooh. And final
so it's
too.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we are playing for a mathematical chance of making the 8, but I gave up on that a while ago. But yes, it seems like a bit of a difficult hump for the Tigers to get over the three wins in a row mark. So I think, as you said, if the Cowboys actually do show up in their best nick, I think it's going to be a really close game. And if it is a really close game, usually at Leichhardt, that does get the home side up just fractionally. And I think with Dewey in the 7, we do have somebody who can sort of win a game in the clutch that we haven't really had lately. So I honestly am feeling like 19-18 West Tigers Dewey field goal, Dewey man of the match kind of result. That feels like a Sunday afternoon Leichhardt Oval Tigers Cowboys score to me. What about the rest of you?
I'm going to go a bit different, although I hope it doesn't come to that because our kicking's a bit flaky sometimes at the end of a game. I'll go 24-18 Cowboys. I reckon man of the match is my boy Dearden. My smoky is Braden Burns, who's on fire lately.
He is.
Great player.
And I'm just going to, quietly, I'm going to go Luai 10 in the bin as well.
Yeah, that's not a bad tip. I think
like earlier in the year.
Yeah, he has been. I'd love to see a bit of fire to this game because I really want the Cowboys to be I want there to be some hate between these two clubs because there's so much good history. I've been making heaps of content. I put up highlights packages all the time, and it seems like whether it's cursed games or whether it's legendary games, it seems like every memorable moment that the Tigers have seems to revolve around the North Queensland Cowboys. So it doesn't seem like you guys feel quite the same way about us, but yeah.
Look, we can make an exception, but I'm actually going to throw out a little extra one. I'm going to put Bateman in for a triple.
Oof.
Oh,
Just to really
Johnny, just quietly, if you chuck up on our YouTube channel, I put up a highlights package of that game the other night. John Bateman actually carved you guys up that night. I think he scored a try, set one up. Like, remember when he did that little in and away and unlocked baller? Oh, it was beautiful. But yes, John Bateman can go jump off a cliff as far as we're concerned. We're not big fans of John Bateman.
shades of brilliance. It's just there's on the other side of that is a bit of a handbrake in my opinion.
It's a bit sunny up
personal
here for him.
experience, but, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
We call him Master Bateman. Yeah.
right. Well, early in the year,
I call him that.
we were up strongly, and then you guys came back to make it a good game in the end and almost pinched it on us.
Yeah, and if we had have got home there, we might have still been in the running for the 8. So.
But just for those playing along at home, if you go Drinky did and Nanai Cows 51 plus, it's 2.5 to 1. So
I mean, that's
Is it? I might have to get on that.
So for a lazy tenner, there's 25k in your kick.
Can you just say that again?
You go Drinky did and Nanai anytime try.
Ads.
Cows 51 plus.
Yeah, I'll get on. I'll get on in on that. I think if you want to go a Tigers multi, I think that the Cowboys first half lead, Tigers second half lead, Tigers 1-12, anytime try score Adam Dewey. That's probably what I would do as a multi.
That's not too bad either.
no.
No, it's not 2,500 to 1,
Have you met Pistol?
but it's not too bad.
For a cup of coffee, $10 in Leichhardt, that's 25 grand. That's a car.
Well,
Wow. I had a multi on a Tigers same game multi on a little while ago, and it was I put 50 on it because I do some pretty cooked stuff, and it was the most ridiculous multi ever. What game was that? Do you remember that, Reedy?
against the Chalks.
Yeah, when we won. And I needed the Tigers to score one more try at the end to win 18k, and yeah, so I needed the Tigers to score one more try because I had Tigers' last try scorer in the multi, and the Roosters scored with like 10 seconds left on the clock. So when the Tigers kicked off to the Roosters just started tucking the ball around in their in goal to try to score a game-winning try. And I'm like, they're going to throw it to a Tigers player and I'm going to win 18 grand. No, unfortunately not. Alex 12 knocked on. But, man, that was the closest I came to a good multi.
Oh, as long as you keep going, then you're always in with a chance.
That's how you get out of it, isn't it? You just keep hunting.
Yeah. Bet bigger.
That's what they say.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It's been awesome to have you guys. As I said, if you guys wouldn't mind just sticking around so I could upload. Did you want to do a tip as well? There was one more of you that needs to do a tip.
Billy.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I'll bit of random trivia for you guys that after that 74-0 smashing, one of our fans went out and got a North Queensland Cowboys number plate, like personalised Queensland number plate, 74 NIL.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah?
And
Was that you?
And I'm pretty sure I saw a post on this Cowboy Stampede page that it got signed by the playing group too.
Oh,
So
That's worth it.
That's awesome.
yeah, that $500 number plate became a very, very, very expensive one to any sort of fan. But my tip for the game, I don't know. I'm thinking I've got a thought in my head of a high scoring game. I'm thinking like a 32, 36.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
When I looked at the stats the other day, we were the leakiest team in the comp by a bit.
oh, it's
So I'm
terrible.
thinking we can score tries and we let a shitload in. So I'm thinking high scoring game, but I can never not back the Cowboys. I'm probably the only person other than Pistol next to me that's backed them every single week in footy tipping this year.
Me and Rob like to win sometimes.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
Well, you got to think reality into existence, right? That's how it works.
support your team no matter
We're
what.
trying to win a prize.
Well, the game earlier in the year was a very high-scoring game, so that's a pretty good tip. And Leichhardt can be a fast track, especially if it's not wet and it's a nice sunny Sunday arvo. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on. Why don't we do this again next time the Cowboys play the Tigers? It seems like we could make it an annual tradition or something. What do you reckon?
For sure.
good.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan.
Love you all.
And if next time I'm up in Townsville for work, I'll drop you a line and maybe we'll catch up.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Thanks so much, gentlemen. That was the On the Ranch podcast, boys. That was our first ever. Oh, I hit the wrong guy. That was our first ever. Get out of here, Rudy. That was our first ever cross podcast collaboration. He's back. Press the wrong button.
Beautiful. Make sure you've.
That was awesome. Seemed like great dudes.
That was unreal. Give the OTR boys a follow, even if you are an Ironed-On Tigers fan. They're great fellas, and obviously, I love the confidence of Pistol. That's
Pistol's a bit of a larrikin, isn't he?
yeah, great fella, and he's right. It is $10 for a coffee in Leichhardt, unless you go to Bar Italia and you just get a short black for I think about $3.50, cash only, mind you, cash only. Let's talk pathways.